Hello, we're Bonnie and Greg Dixon from Healthy Wealthy Camper, and today we're going to be talking with Susan Krautter
And
about.
Susan and I met and online, and what we found out was we love to help people with their health. And Susan works with others with hormone therapy, and not everyone's familiar with that. So I'd like to, and the benefits of having your hormones balanced. So welcome, Susan, to our show, and share with us a little bit about maybe how you got started in that particular field. I know you were in nursing, and then how did you transition over to what you're doing now?
Well, back in 1996, I was a nursing supervisor in home health in Burnaby, British Columbia. And I was driving, I had a long commute, and I was thinking over some things. And all of a sudden, I had what I call an inconvenient epiphany. And I realized that I really didn't feel that I was 100% fulfilled in the work I was doing. And long story short, 6 months later, I opened a wellness center. I have a background as well as my degree in nursing in counseling. And so I decided I would and it was early days for wellness centers, but we actually put together a very exciting group of people, including acupuncture, reflexology. I was a counselor, and we had a lot of wonderful evening events for education. And as I was working with my clients, they were mainly women. And they were coming to me because I was kind of end of the road for them. They had been through many years of maybe trouble with depression, and most of the time there was some psychological problems, seeking some counseling. And for a holistic nurse, when you do an admission into your care, you always look at a person's body and mind and spirit in the way of what I call trillium, which was a three-petaled flower, and that's what I named my wellness center after. And I found when I looked at these ladies' whole picture and their symptoms and so on, there were clusters of symptoms that seemed to be the same for all of them. And I thought, what could this common factor be? And it didn't take me long, and I realized that their hormones were out of balance. So I thought, so I would chat away to them about their hormones. And for the most part, these women felt, if I could say that they were victims of their hormones, I think that they would agree that that was a good description. These people were having unwanted weight gain around the waist and hips. They were having headaches, PMS, premenstrual syndrome. They were having things like endometriosis and polycystic ovarian syndrome, which are not as well known. And hot flashes were the biggest area of concern for a lot of them. They weren't sleeping. Their overall health was taking them in the wrong direction. They were finding that they were tired. They didn't exercise anymore. Their need for comfort took them into the comfort food area. And I thought, okay, we've really got to get people understanding what's going on here. And I made a study of it. And that was based mainly in those days on the marvelous teachings of Dr. John Lee, who is a general practitioner in the United States. And the more I found out about what causes our hormones to be out of balance, the more intrigued I got. One thing that most people don't realize is that they have too much estrogen in their body. This goes for men and women, boys and girls. And you'll say, well, where does this come from? Well, actually, it comes from our environment, a lot of it, most of it. So in trace amounts, with everything that we eat and breathe and rub on our skin, we are getting substances into us which mimic estrogen. And most of them are derived from petrochemicals. So let's take personal care products. lotions, creams, shampoos, anything that you rub on yourself, most people don't realize that it is absorbed. And the body interprets those, we call them xenoestrogens, as real estrogens. And when those estrogens get to the hormone, to the cell receptor site, they cause the body to turn the switches on how to behave, which is what a hormone does. And it causes weight gain and all of those symptoms that I've just described. And the more estrogen a person has, it's like a symphony orchestra. If you have too much, let's say in a symphony orchestra, you have too many violins and not enough timpanis and so on, you will get a very strange sounding noise. Well, our hormones behave the same together. So let's think, if I'm, giving a presentation, I usually get people to call out, what hormones do you know? Well, usually they call out estrogen, yes. Testosterone, they know. Progesterone, some of them know. Adrenal, thyroid, and all of these, and then some people will call out the pituitary hormones. All of these hormones in trace amounts are produced by our body, by the different glands, and they are chemicals which go through the body and give information on how to behave. And these women learned how to minimize the use of substances which they had some control over. That would be their personal care products, what they clean their homes with. Chlorine, although it's not a xenoestrogen, can used in cleaning or even in swimming pools, can really upset people's hormones. And then we get into the foods which we call phytoestrogens. That would be soy is a big culprit. People were drinking soy milk. They were giving soy milk to babies. Let me tell you a story which will stun you, because, and I tell you this story because it tells us that the hormone issue starts at birth and goes right through until the end of our life. If you give a baby a bottle filled with soy milk, which was in those days often used when the person had a lactose intolerance, when the baby had a lactose intolerance, you take that bottle and you put it in the microwave and you heat it. The plastic in the bottle leaches into the soy milk, which already is phytoestrogenic. That baby, over a period of the number of bottles in the day, is getting the equivalent of a birth control pill in terms of the estrogen it's getting. And so we see, not that every baby was treated that way, but every baby would have been being bathed in soaps and put lotion and powders and shampoos used on them. And already, because the mother didn't know how to select clean products, we call them clean products, that baby is already developing their hormone profile in a way that's going to cause little girls to get their periods earlier and earlier. Children are getting their periods sometimes as early as age 8. Boys are developing overweight as well as girls, and that is because of estrogen. That hormone, regardless of how old we are, tells our body cells to grow, multiply, and divide. So that's why we get obesity. We get fibroids. You probably know about fibroids because many women who are past the age of producing, or the age of being pregnant, are wearing loose clothes because their tummies, their abdomens, are bloated out with a uterus that is filled with tissue, fibroids. Doctors even describe it as a fibroid that's the same as 6 months pregnant. So if you look around, the next time you go into a grocery store or walking down the road, have a look and see how many women seem to have big tummies. And those women are, it's the result of years and years of having too much estrogen and not enough of the balancing hormone progesterone. And then they have these results. Now, I have an ebook, which I'm quite happy to offer to anybody. It's free, and I'd love to share it. And in that book, I tell about one of the, you asked about how did I get into this? Well, part of my passion for educating people about this is my daughter, who started her periods when she was 9. And we had a really healthy lifestyle. I didn't know anything about xenoestrogens in those days, but for the most part, we were healthy. We exercised. We had a really good, wholesome diet and all that. She got her period really early. By the time she was 11, she was being rushed to Children's Hospital with excruciating abdominal pain, which was interpreted as a rumbling appendix, and sent home. And the pains would come and go. There was never anything abnormal detected with her appendix. And by the time she was 18, she was still in trouble. And it was cyclic. In other words, it went with her monthly cycle. And I said to her, Helen, I'm going to go to my nursing books and I'm going to look this up. I wasn't in that area. I was a critical care nurse at the time. And I said to her, I think you should go to your doctor and ask if you might have endometriosis. Now, endometriosis is where, we don't know why, but the cells that are supposed to be inside the uterus migrate outside the uterus. And at certain times of the month, of course, when the lining of the uterus is withdrawn in the time of a menstrual period, these little cells bleed. And that blood in the tissue of the abdomen feels like acid. And it's terribly painful. Well, the long and the short of it was that Helen went through the treatment, which was more hormones. And actually, she was taking a hormone which is like testosterone to try to calm it down, and her personality changed. She became very moody and brusque and not herself, to the point where eventually, when she was 25, she rejected that treatment and still continued with the problem. And the resolution of it was that they actually did a hysterectomy on my daughter. She was childless, and she ended up, having a life without children. She doesn't mind my sharing that story with you, but what it did for me, because it was only by virtue of the fact that I was a nurse and I was really intent upon finding the problem, which wasn't diagnosed, that my daughter got eventually the treatment she needed. That could have been avoided. I have given so many lectures, and all of these issues around hormones need to be understood. And probably I've spoken to thousands of people by now and taught them step by step what to do, starting with looking at their personal care products and all of the things that they might be doing to increase the estrogen in their body, and then to work on the rest of it systematically, effectively, so that no longer are these people, and this goes for men too, a victim of their hormones. I have one more story. Well, I have lots of stories, but it does occur to me that you might be interested in this one, because this speaks to the effect it can have on boys. A lady who went to her massage therapist and explained to her massage therapist that her son was having some difficulties, and her therapist said to her, go and find Susan Krautter. You have to have this boy's saliva test for hormones and see where it lies. Well, that 14-year-old, the problem that he was having was that he was developing breasts. He was a slim boy, very athletic. And so over the phone, I was just having an initial phone consultation, because that's how I do most of my consultations. And I said, okay, tell me about your son. Does he, by any chance, do a lot of swimming? Because I was thinking about the chlorine part of it. And sure enough, he was a competitive swimmer. He was in that pool sometimes up to 4 or 5 hours every day.
Wow.
And then the other inspiration I had was, I said to her, and by the way, are you using fabric softener for his clothes? Yes, he loves fabric softener. Well, the artificial fragrance in fabric softener, think about it. You apply it to the clothes when they're drying. It's not only the clothes you wear, it's the linens on your bed, your towels, your pillowcases. 24/7, he was affected by the fabric of the artificial fragrance rubbing into him. That stuff is toxic. And so she immediately discontinued the use of the fabric softener. So that was one thing she had control over. But she couldn't find, his swimming team used a pool that had chlorine. So we worked on the part of his care that she had control over. That's like the Serenity Prayer. You work on what you've got control over. And after a month of no fabric softener and doing the other things I suggested, his breasts went back to normal.
Wow, that is an impressive story. Just to be able to nuance that. Now, knowing hormones, they're such tiny little amounts in the body. Isn't that amazing? Mm-hmm. Just infinitesimally small, but if you don't have enough, your body knows it. And if you have too much, your body knows it.
Yeah.
And so
that's right.
Tell us more about what you've learned. So foods can affect it. What do you call it? Fragrances, thought process, I suppose. What are some of the treatments, if I might ask, in the natural realm that you're working with that could help a person? I know I've heard of some people having maybe homeopathic treatments, but I'm curious how you help your patients and your clients.
Well, thank you for asking. The first step is eliminating. I help them understand what to eliminate in terms of self-care. Mm-hmm. The second step is their bowel care. Mm-hmm. Because many women and men are constipated. And this gets a little intimate, but if you are constipated or even having dry stool, whatever is, if you consider about the food that turns into bulk that's going through your body, if by the time you eliminate it, it's dry, the liquid in it, which is supposed to be discarded, is absorbed back into your body, and that includes all these xenoestrogens and everything else. So you have to have good bowel habits. And I used to have some fun with this, because when I gave seminars, I'd say, I want your daily output to be 18 inches. I don't care if it's 3 6s or 2 9s. And of course, my daughter, who was my assistant, she used to just cringe. But that's the order of magnitude that we're aiming for. So, helping them by explaining how they can bulk out their bowel movements with fiber supplement and plenty of water to drink, exercise. That's where it starts. So looking at what are you taking into your body and what are you putting out of your body.
That is so amazing on that, even that particular thing, a topic, because I did a talk once at a Toastmasters on fiber. And I remember going around the room, putting an apple on everyone's in front of them. And they're like, what's the apple for? I go, 3 grams of pectin fiber, and I was always talking about fiber and the different kinds of fiber. And a side story, I had horses, and even horses can have challenges sometimes. And my horse and another horse got into a bag of grain, and they ate the whole thing. And when I called the veterinarian, he says, oh my goodness, I can't get there, where we were kind of in an outlying area. He says, go to the store and get a gallon of oil and a turkey baster and give it to the horse. And if the horse didn't go to do his business, you got to do it again the next day. Well, the other horse did, my horse didn't. So I had to go back again. And she looked at me and I looked at her, and I said, here I am. And she goes, oh, no, 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 no. It was quite the fight. But back to what you're saying, the fecal matter when people are constipated, which is a big problem for a lot of people. You know,
Yep.
you go to Costco and they got these huge things of fiber, right? And what you're saying is elimination is just as important. And if people ignore that, they could be affecting their hormones. And I
Yes.
didn't hear that or understand that till you just spoke it that way. I never thought about it. I've been blessed. I'm a regular girl, always have been, but I have a sister-in-law. She just doesn't go, and she's very, very, very heavy. And now I'm realizing what you're saying is the hormones then could affect her weight. That
Oh,
she's
yes. Yes. Yep.
wow. Yeah, I never.
It's a real merry-go-round with weight. Yeah.
What a concept! If people just knew that alone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. So you're helping people with, concepts. That's a big concept right there. A simple, effective one that they could, with your guidance, self-treat and get that going again and change their whole life.
Yes, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Another fascinating thing about this merry-go-round,
Mm-hmm.
not so much around the bowel part, but interestingly, estrogen causes us to put on weight. In other words, store fat cells.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what do you know? The fat cells produce more estrogen.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got the ovaries and the adrenals producing estrogen in the body because we source our own, right? I've been talking about outside sources, but the body makes it. But if a person is carrying 10 or more pounds of excess weight, then they are producing more estrogen in their fat cells than they need.
Got it.
And then more weight goes on.
Yes, yes, yes. Boy, kind of an ugly little roundabout there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And this is true of men as well.
Yes.
Don't want to leave the men out of this.
No, we don't want to leave the guys out of it. Greg and I are doing a 21-day reset right now. And we realized we did the measurements and our tummies are way too big. So we realized for 21 days, we eliminated the usual suspects. And we're on day 2. And I do think I feel better already, just in a short amount of time. I'm not eating the breads and the different things that we normally want the go-tos a lot of times, and just vegetables and fruit, real basic food, vegetables, fruit, protein.
Yeah.
Keeping it simple.
That's right. That's right.
You have other dietary considerations or water nutrition
very much water. You've probably read Dr. Batman Galage's book, The Body's Many Cries for Water. That's it's a book that's probably in a bit more detail than most people are interested in. But I always say this one thing. I like to catch people's attention. As you age, which would you like to look more like? A grape or a raisin?
Yes. That's a great one. Yeah. And do you have a recommended daily amount for people?
Well, I used to go with the, take half your weight and all that kind of thing. I think we can overload ourselves with water. So rather than giving people an amount, I like to say, take a great big jug, go out and buy one if you need to, like a big jug, and put it on your kitchen counter and with a cloth over it. I like to put some, I'm a great believer in the really pure organic oils, essential oils, and lemon. If you put a few drops of lemon in that water, it will adjust the pH for you and make it less acidic. and then drink what's in that jug. And that's a kind of fun way of watching. You watch the level go down, and it keeps everything working super well.
Actually, that is my father's 90, will be 91 next month, and a farm boy. And he told me that story. He says, oh, if you're ever constipated, you just have a cup of warm water in the morning with a squeeze of lemon. And he says that would always, do the trick. And so I've got a fun story for you then, Susan. My dad again. Good. There was another time that he said a little bit about that. And so I said, oh, well, I'll get you some fiber. So I went and got some fiber for him. And then I said, just put this in your water, stir it up, and you can drink it. It'll be easy for you. So he did that. Only said, like many people do, and you probably know more than most, Susan, on if some's good's more's better, right? So he doubled the dose. He put 2 tablespoons in this jar, this glass, and he stirs it around. But then he decides to go take a nap.
Oh, no.
So he went to his bedroom and set the glass down, and then he fell asleep. And when he woke up, he said, well, I think I'll drink that now. And he said it was a solid mass.
So the thing is, I walked into the conversation and I missed the first part of it. And I thought that he had drunk this massive glass of this stuff and it had solidified inside. So I said, what?
No, my dad was afraid to ever try it again. He said that might go inside me. I was laughing so hard, but needless to say, he's back to the warm water with lemon. Oh my goodness. People are funny, but so what would you say the bottom line for people? How, we self-diagnose with everything nowadays online with the internet, but for yourself, if someone had an issue or a problem, how would they know to come to you, Susan, and think about their hormones? What would be that kind of that, what's happening? You go, oh, yeah. Hormones. Oh, Susan, got to call Susan.
Well, the way I've typically, because I've given so many presentations, the way I would attract people to my presentations was by giving them what I call, or publicizing what I call estrogen dominance quiz. And it's about 20 symptoms, some of which I've already mentioned here. And I'd say if you have 5 or more of these, you need to come in and listen to what I have to say. Most of the people who have come to me have been either brought to one of my presentations by word of mouth. Now, of course, I'm interested in giving presentations virtually for reasons we all know. We're not out there in the community anymore. But it would be, having them go, oh, really? Are headaches really something to do with my hormones? Or what about some of these other things? They don't realize that loss of their waist, where the tummy sticking out the front. I'm not talking about a fibroid. I'm just talking about inability to lose that tummy fat. They didn't know that had to do with estrogen, and so it would go. It's very difficult to, when people are really so out of touch that they think that they're stuck with perimenopause, that they're stuck with hot flashes, and they try so many different things, and a hot flash will bring them to me sooner than anything else because they know it has to do with their hormones.
Yeah.
And you mentioned homeopathic. And over the years, I've offered people different approaches in terms of sometimes supplementation with bioidentical hormones, like mainly it would be progesterone. And of course, in Canada, you need to have a physician's prescription. and they would go to their physician, who may or may not be interested in participating in what Susan suggested. But if they would, then they'd write a prescription, and then they lady would go to a compounding pharmacist and have to have that made up. And so what that would be a case of is helping them diminish their estrogen, and then raising their balancing hormone progesterone up, and it would do marvels for them. About 6 months ago, I came across a product that's absolutely brand new in Canada, not so new in the States, and it's a non-prescription homeopathic a human growth hormone product, which is, it comes as a gel and it's rubbed into the skin a couple of times a day, 5 days a week, and I have seen immensely beneficial results for, first of all, within the first month or so, it stops those, in most people, can't say in all people, but the people stop having hot flashes. They are sleeping like they've never slept before. And I experienced this when I started it. Nice REM dreams and sleeping all night. I found that for myself, I'll share with you that the disturbances in the night usually had to do with getting up to go to the bathroom. And that was corrected for me. And a number of other absolutely super benefits that are caused by the fact that as we age, from about the age of 25, 30, the amount of human growth hormone we are putting out from the pituitary diminishes. And it does that very regularly over our lives. And that's where our typical symptoms of aging come from. So if you, can produce, can supplement and then produce some of your own human growth hormone from the pituitary, which they've shown can be done, that over a period of time, you really do have marvelous benefit. Wow, so I'm very excited. Exciting. Yeah, very excited about that product. And so I introduced that. And sometimes, even before we start talking about the other things they need to do, which is, going through all their personal care products and changing out the products they're using, getting what we call clean products and so on. It's so important. I get them started on the gel and they start to feel the benefits right away, or over 60 to 90 days. It takes a long time Dr. John Lee used to say it was 6 to 9 months before you'd really feel the benefit. So, yeah, if we're talking about sort of an immediate thing to do, of all things, that's where I start.
Fabulous. So to find out more, first of all, thank you, Susan. And to find out more, you can go to her website, and here we go. And it's understandingyourhormones.com.
That's right.
Yes. Yep. And it looks like you have something exciting coming up there. And then is this the MLT that you were talking about?
Yes. Yeah. Now that's a different product, which is only just arriving in Canada as well. It's brand new. And it is a combination of substances. You've probably heard of people taking a pre-workout combination. So this combines many of those kinds of substances into one drink that you take once a day. And we're actually just starting a 90-day. You're doing a 21-day. We're actually going to do a 90-day with measurements before and after, and just see where we go with that, because that's where the tummy for men and women and the waist will come back.
Yes.
And people, and people don't have to be on they have to be on a reasonable dietary approach, but they don't have to be on a keto diet or anything like that, as long as it's nice and balanced. And the people who've done the trial, the trial of this product have experienced some really very exciting early reshaping of themselves. One of the things we need to say about abdominal fat is that it is an indication of fat around the internal organs, and
Yes.
that is predicts cardiac problems. It predicts diabetes, insulin resistance, and many other difficulties. When fat surrounds an organ, there are toxins produced which are simply not good for the body. So this isn't about looking good. It's all around the care of this somewhat fragile body that we've been given to mobilize around in from the time that we're here. And,
Yes.
you know, we have to take good care of it.
That's right. Well, we thank you so much for being on our program today. And to learn more, understandingyourhormones.com. Trill@telus.net is Susan's email. And here comes your phone number again. It's a Canadian phone number, but you can call that from anywhere in the US, or I'm sure around the world. And we so appreciate your insight to hormones. There was a lot of juicy stuff in this talk. And I hope people at least start somewhere, wherever you are. And if you'd like some more guidance, and then give Susan a call.
I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Susan.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on the show.
It's been a great pleasure.